Councilmember Ponce,
Here.
Councilmember Schickling,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle,
Here.
Mayor Marshall.
Here. Announcements and written communications.
I do want to announce that we have 2 council members who are participating remotely, so we will be doing an oral vote count for the agenda items.
Okay, department heads.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members, and City staff. Jackie Cordero, Public Works Director. Public Works has been slowly catching up since our December emergencies and storms. This week, the crew is cleaning up after the rains and clearing out any drains. They're also doing routine landscape weeding and restroom repairs. The crew will finish up the Women's Green Pier restroom renovations in the next couple weeks. The remaining parts were delayed because of the weather. Public Works did finish the work at the cemetery. It looks great up there. They cleared up the roots, backfilled trip and falls. They placed markers back. They also finished their aeration and reseeded the area, which is fantastic. The crew is still scheduled to work on several renovation projects, the Casino Way benches and Tremont Hall repairs. They also going to work on the wastewater treatment plant permanent fix, and the roto screen beam are still pending. The equipment has been delayed because of the weather. We hope to start the work in the next couple weeks. On the excuse me, on the admin side of Public Works, we sent out the final spill report from the incident we had in December and the final climate change plan to the Water Board. The crew also finished a 4-hour online HR training that's mandatory every 2 years. And it was awesome that they finished that. And we have interviews this Thursday for part-time maintenance workers. So busy.
So you got a few applicants?
We have 7 or 8.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Wonderful.
really excited. Any questions? No? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City staff, City Council. Michael Alegria, Fire Chief, City of Avalon. So far this year, we've had 125 calls for service. This afternoon, I don't know if you heard, people were calling, texting me, gunshots, fireworks, all the above, and it was fireworks. Someone lit off 2 things of fireworks from a balcony underneath a dry tree up by Solvista. We went, luckily it went off again while we were there in the area and got him, and the sheriff cited him. Last week we hosted what we call Green Cell training. It's part of our regional training group from the LA area fire chiefs. We had 6 personnel come over from LA City, and we practiced communications. They have these simulators on the computer. They bring over radios, and we get there. The guys identify what they got, and we start calling in people. They just realized how fast we run out of resources. Over there, they get to call everybody. So we did kind of both. I do know people are listening to scanners. On the second day, we switched radio channels to one of our backups, and the news called and asked if we really had a MCI on one of the boats. And we said, no, it was training only. So
Or do we have to get our scanners rescheduled or rechanneled? Or are we back to, we're good?
we're on C50.
Okay.
We had one. We're having issues with our engines. Hope maybe soon you guys might be seeing some new. We're getting some different. There's 3 different options. Our first out engine is just very, very corroded, the pipes, and it's causing everything to not function correctly. So we're getting 3 different options: rebuilding it, going out for a new one, or used. So we're doing all our homework right now to come back and present to you. And then just lastly, I wanted to commend my guys. I believe one day in the future we'll have this crew that was working. Last month we had a medical call, a person not breathing. The crew showed up, took over compressions, and after 8 minutes of CPR, and when we moved the person into the back of the ambulance, by the time we were ready to go to the hospital, he was sitting up talking to us. So it worked. how we train. And one day, hopefully, I'll have all the crews here to recognize them for the great job they did that day and every other day.
Questions, council members? I think we're good. Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, City Staff. Since our last meeting, we've had 250 incidents in our log. Of those, 194 were observations made by the deputies and 56 were calls from the public. There were 5 traffic stops and 2 pedestrian stops. 7 arrests resulted from some of the calls as well as the observations. There was, for domestic violence, 1 arrest for fraudulent use of an access card, 1 arrest for possession of narcotics, 2 for driving on a suspended license or unlicensed driver, sorry, and then 1 for being drunk in public. Last week we had a class put on by the Sheriff's Department, the ESD unit, that did kind of an overview of handling scuba incidents, how to handle it, and they did training for the sheriffs and Avalon Fire, Harbor Patrol, LA County Fire, and LA County lifeguards. Fantastic training. They showed some videos that really was an eye-opener to see what they go through with scuba diving. I can tell you, I'm never going to do it, so I'm done. I'm out. Next Monday, we have the Air National Guard coming in, the Army Air National Guard. They're going to be flying in and meeting with myself and with Emma at the school, the principal, and we're going to be setting up presentations for middle school and high school about the use of drugs and alcohol and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So I'm very excited about it. They have a lot of resources, and it's free of charge, so it's great.
The Air National Guard?
Yeah, it's actually the Army National Guard, but they're coming in with the Air National Guard on the helicopters. So
But on drug stuff.
I'm sorry?
And they're teaching about drugs.
Yeah, they have it's a federal unit that does it all over the country, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it just seems, just.
I'm just glad we have
Yeah.
the resources to use.
Exactly, totally. I have a question, because every time you come, we have domestic violence. Are any of these repeat people?
Honestly, no, there's not much repeating. There are locations that we go repetitively and we deal with, but the arrests is not something that we see over and over and over again. A lot of time it's not locals. There are some locals that have been arrested, but a lot of times people that are here on vacation or whatever, and almost always there's alcohol involved, to be honest.
Yes, okay, yeah, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, city staff, Kevin Schmidt, Harbor Master. So we got through some weather yesterday, so it made it a little exciting after all the sunny weather we've had. Knock on wood, we came through pretty unscathed. We had some pretty serious southeast winds yesterday morning, and then down the canyon, as you guys I'm sure probably noticed a little later in the morning and the afternoon. Little break today. And then tonight, we got more winds and some light rain. So a little bit of weather this week. We'll see how that affects the boats and stuff, the express boats and stuff going back and forth for the rest of the week. The Firenze was supposed to come in on Monday. They postponed it till today. They showed up and probably saw it out there. The tenders came over this morning, and they tried for a good hour, probably trying to make up to the ship, and they ran into some difficulty. There was still some residual swell out there. They were also worried about, forecast winds. So, as you know, the Firenze did not disembark passengers today, but they will be back. They're scheduled to be back on Friday for another visit. This Saturday is I believe it's the 44th, but don't quote me on this, 44th annual Harbor Cleanup, put on by Rotary and benefits the USC Hyperbaric Chamber, the Avalon Rotary Foundation, Avalon Beautiful, the Dive Park. I'm probably forgetting some organization, but those are the big ones. We could have upwards of 600 divers and people out there. So that'll be interesting. There should be a lot of people, I would think, depending on weather, I think, too, what happens with the weather. So looking at stats, since the last time we met, we've had 201 arrivals for a total of 1,296 mooring nights, which is slightly above last year at this time. We've had 2 emergency calls, 9 enforcement calls, 31 public assists, and 152 security patrols.
Questions?
Questions?
How's that electric boat?
I knew you were going to ask that.
I should have asked you offline.
So the electric boat works fine in the summer and stuff. We used it.
Yeah.
Right now it's up at the garage. We're trying to do the service on the outdrive. So the lower unit of the outdrive needs to be serviced, needs to have the oil changed in it. The bow tube has a leak that we're trying to get fixed. I'm trying to get the thing back in service for a few months now. I just talked to the mechanics this morning again about this and impressed upon them the importance of getting that back. So right now we're just waiting to get some scheduled maintenance done on it and then get it back in the water. Once it's back in the water, we'll take it over town and do a few more things to it. But
You really don't need it right this moment.
no,
anyway.
we don't really
Right.
need it. But I would like to have it in the water because, we've been down a few boats lately, and the more horses in the barn, the better it is to tend the ranch, or easier it is. So yeah, we're trying to get that back as quickly as
Yeehaw.
possible.
Okay, cowboy.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Matt Baker, Finance Director. I have a presentation later tonight on mid-year budget, so I don't have anything else to share unless there are any questions about finance.
We're good, thank you.
All right.
Good evening, Council, Madam Mayor. Not much to report right now. We had youth basketball will be starting March 8th, but right now we have the last week of signups with the evaluation happening this Saturday, starting at 10 a.m. For 3rd through 5th and also 6th through 8th. But we also still have the TK through 2 that does not have evaluations, but will be starting on March 8th. So please sign up now at catcityofavalon.com. A reminder for our prime timers, we have a prime timer event coming next Wednesday. It is the escape room. So we're going to put a bunch of 55 and older people into one room together and say, get out. And we'll see how quickly they're able to do that. It should be a lot of fun. We promise we will have somebody in there ready to get them out if needed. This will be on February 24th at 4:30 p.m. at the escape room. It's just a $10 registration. You can register now at cityofavalon.com. A quick little update on our food bank numbers for January. We have been averaging about 42 bags every week, feeding roughly 105 people weekly. We've also, with our partnering with Vons, using the Hungry app to get food out, we have distributed last month over 500 pounds of food. So that's pretty awesome that 500 pounds did not go into the waste. It went into people's bellies here. So any questions?
I have a question, and I should
Yes.
know the answer. Are we still doing exercise up at Tremont?
We are. We not up at Tremont. It's at Gaia Studios. So right now,
Okay.
yes, Mondays and
Oh,
Wednesdays
okay.
with Angela at Gaia Studios,
All
and
right.
we'll be starting up the aqua aerobics starting back up in May. All right, perfect.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Jocelyn Francis, Assistant City Manager. Just a reminder, it's vehicle season. Go online, cityofavalon.gov/vehicles to register your vehicle. It's $50 until April 1st, and then it's a $30 late charge after that. Our office hours start at 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, so come on by and get your sticker. Dave mentioned the Hungry app. The Hungry app folks will be here the first week in March. They will as long as traffic and weather conditions persist, they'll be here at the March 3rd City Council meeting to do a presentation. And then the rest of that week, we're setting up times for them to meet in person with various businesses around town. We're going to do some community trainings here at City Hall and really get the word out about the Hungry app and all the good that it's doing for our community. So we're excited to have them on the island. And then this Thursday, February 19th at 2 p.m., the Civic Center Housing RFP for 3A and 3B closes. Just a reminder for anybody online, the mail and whatnot is going to be impacted this week due to weather conditions, so you may submit bids online through publicpurchase.com. We did issue an addendum, but just a reminder here at City Council. And then, what else do I have? I think that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Very great. Any questions? Thank you. Kelly, you good? Okay, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening. The city has received 3 very detailed and responsive submittals for the mole RFQ from very qualified developers. We're very, very happy with what we received. So the city has initially done, kind of just to lay out the next steps. Internally, our team has reviewed those. We reviewed those together, formulated. We're in the process of formulating some questions that we plan on getting out this week with the idea that we'll be meeting with those presenters next week in-house with the goal of getting a date from all of them in front of City Council in March. And we'll have that as a special meeting, so it'll just be dedicated to those 3 proposals to be presented to Council for questions. Answers, and then the goal would still be early April, hopefully the first meeting in April, we'll be able to present to you, come back with council with a recommendation, and once we have that partner, then we're off and running. So you have some of the things on tonight, some of the initial phase 0 and some of the implementation of where we're going with this, so everything's really falling in place from a timeline standpoint. We're excited to get the decision made on one of these 3 partners because, like I said, I think you'll find all of them very impressive on their ideas and suggestions. So that's the schedule. We're still on it. Knock on wood, it stays that way. I also wanted to address that on February 6th, the city attorney and I had reviewed a letter and ultimately approved a letter that the city attorney sent out to CDFW, a protest letter setting forth the city's opposition to the issuance of the Conservancy's restoration management permit. That letter has been sent out to council and is also available to the public if there's any requests for that, and we'll keep council updated with any information or feedback that we receive. FYI, the Love Catalina board meeting, which was scheduled for this Thursday, has been rescheduled for the following Thursday, the 26th, because I believe 9+ board members were not going to be able to attend based upon travel being impacted by the storm. So that is now February 26th, same schedule, 1 p.m. regular board meeting. And the mixer.
And what about there was going to be the meeting about the Olympics as well?
Same thing.
Everything's canceled.
Everything's been pushed back.
Okay.
Same time frame, but just a week later on that Thursday, including the
Okay,
mixer.
excellent.
Tomorrow, we do a planning commission meeting. There are 4 new short-term rentals being proposed on the agenda. If those get approved, we would be looking at the March meeting, concluding what's left on the wait list, and we will be capped out at that time. So we'll keep council updated and progress going forward. So any questions?
Thank you. Do we have a city attorney?
Yes, you do, Mayor and council members. Just to note, we have 2 council members participating remotely. The Brown Act rules still apply as they've always have. July 1st there'll be some changes in the Brown Act. So sometime in April, I'll be giving an update as to what those new changes entail for how we run meetings and how we agendize meetings. So it's a new landscape starting July 1st. We'll go over that at least 2 months in advance so we can prepare.
Thank you very much, Scott. Okay, council members.
I'll go first because I'm real short. Just a reminder that the Avalon Rotary and Interact Clubs will be having their clothing drive on February 28th and drop off between 10 and 2. And if possible, please put it in a box, not in bags. It's much easier to load it onto the different vehicles that we need to load it onto. But once again, February 28th from 10 to 2 at the Catalina Canyon. Look forward to it.
Just a couple things. One, thank you for sharing, Dave, the information about the letter to CDFW. I do want to clarify for anyone who read The Islander this week, I was misquoted. We're not filing a lawsuit. It's an objection letter, not an objection lawsuit. They're supposed to be printing a correction this week, and it should be online as well. Second, attended Gateway Cities Council of Governments COG this past week, a couple weeks ago. And a couple of things to note that were interesting. One is the COG and the county are starting a youth housing program for foster children who have aged out of the system. So they're looking to help with housing for people ages 18 to possibly 21 or potentially 25. So if anyone has an extra room that they're open to having a roommate or someone come and live with them for a short term or long term, please let me know. I'm happy to connect you with the people that are going to be running these programs. If you know of anyone on the mainland that has houses open or rooms open, it's also a good spot to do that with.
Now, do they pay the families?
They'll be paying the families for assistance to cover the cost of living, to cover the cost of being in the home and covering utilities and other things like that. And so there is some financial assistance that's included with that, but it's one of the kind of downfalls of that program, besides other downfalls, that they age out at 18 and then are left with no assistance whatsoever. So this is hopefully a step to both have them still maintain a level of housing that is safe and secure, but also be able to work within the programs that they're creating with this to gain support for employment and other things that will get them on their own and be able to find housing on their own. So, and then the second thing from COG was the Energy Action Awards. I think we would have qualified for probably half a dozen awards where other cities won, but we just haven't ever applied for it. And so the Energy Action Awards are where you are making improvements to your facilities or to your city-owned spaces. So some of the examples of Bronze Award winners were people upgrading electrical systems, upgrading HVAC systems, upgrading heating systems, changing out vehicle fleets, making improvements to parks and open spaces. I feel like there's things we're doing all the time that would qualify for that, and y'all should get recognized for it. So I'll share the website with you guys after today and send it to city department heads, and let's try and get some of those awards next year. I think because of the number of initiatives that we have, we probably would have gone gold or platinum this year. And I don't know the window of time for when it happens. There's a lot of things we're doing in the upcoming 12 to 24 months that I think would qualify us for some really awesome awards and recognition. So, and then lastly, there was an interesting presentation. LA County, in the entities that are managing sewer, are having to raise the prices for their ratepayers just like we have. But the interesting part was, I believe we're still under the annual fee of every other offering for sewer in the county that was listed in this report. So I'll get you guys a copy of the report just so you have kind of a comparison set if you want to have that for information's sake. But it was a little surprising to me that we were under even what the new increased rate for LA County is. So just throwing that out there as a kudos, hopefully, and people recognize that even though it is expensive, it's not as expensive as everywhere else for once. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've never applied for a Helen Putnam Award either.
I know. Helen
And-
Putnam is one that we've
We
had.
did
I think
apply.
We did
didn't get
apply?
one.
Last year we
Yeah.
applied.
What, Parks and Rec, or what was it?
Circuit.
For circuit.
Oh, for Circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't find that one.
No.
I don't know why.
Because
I
a
don't
lot
know.
of other cities have Circuit too, I
Right.
think, but for us, that was a big
huge.
deal.
It's
Yeah, okay.
I think we're doing a lot of good. And I also think, to be totally fair, I think the award recognition is good. I think it shows that we're moving forward. I think it puts us out there because a lot of these programs we're trying to be involved in and work and do. Same thing with SoCal Run as part of the energy savings and everything. I think that the thing that I like is I appreciate what we're doing even if we don't win the award. So I think we should have won the award, but that's just me.
I want to thank the captain. He lined me up in a week and a half ago or so. I went on a ride along with Officer Cleese. It was very good, but I'm going to be hitting you up again because he's a nighttime cop typically, and nighttime and daytime seem to be a little bit different. So I want to ride along with one of the daytime officers at some point. But it was very good. We had just a lot of good discussions. We talked about I call them stanchions, but those.
Ballards?
The ballards. We talked about those, and the perception of why we want them and how they're kind of maybe a pain in the butt for them if they're in an emergency call. Anyway, we just had a lot of good conversations. So thank you very much for doing that. I also had a SCAG monthly meeting, and there's some information that I want to give to Jocelyn. We always give her the good stuff on things and maybe Bob Greenlaw about some kind of remediation for ground materials that aren't good, and they can help pay for that. But I did mention it to Dave, and I don't know that it fits in, but I want to give you all the information. And that's all I have. Mary or Yesenia?
I have nothing to report out.
Okay, Yesenia?
Yes. Can you hear me?
You're oh, how cute you look. It's a little quiet, but
Okay. I turned off everything. My children are not talking either, so I'll do my best. Okay. I do have a couple things. So I know I've been giving updates along the way, but now that we're back from Sacramento, our Youth and Government program has officially wrapped up for the year. And I'm really proud to share with you guys that our delegates bill, AB 1084, passed committee, passed both houses, and was signed by their youth and governor. So it's a huge accomplishment, especially since this was our first year participating as a delegation. So I'm very, very proud of our kids. We ended up with 7 of them all the way through, and they got it done. And so I will say another thank you to Tim and the hospital staff, because touring the hospital beforehand really helped our delegates understand the issue. And it really gave them the confidence to be able to debate the bill, which is ultimately what helped move the bill forward and get it signed. But I will say also that it was honestly really special to watch students from all across California debate respectfully, present their bills, and they supported one another all throughout the way. And it just makes me really excited to see what the future holds for this next generation. We're going to be okay, guys. And also a huge thank you to the YMCA, of course, but especially Los Cerritos YMCA and their CFO, Jeremy, for helping make this opportunity possible for our community. And also wanted to do a huge shout out to Emma Peguero and Eileen for coming with us to Sacramento and then being able to see firsthand how meaningful this program is for our kids. But a couple other things. We did just have Women's Forum. We had our mental health workshop with Angela at Gaia Studio. And we also had Mr. Francis join us. They both did such a wonderful job, and we had a total of about 15 people show up, so that was amazing. Oh, and then really quick, I was meaning to mention that I was able to meet with Senator Lina Gonzalez's office since I was literally around the corner, so I made sure to stop by. And my last thing I wanted to say, oh, actually, one more thing. I did attend California Contract Cities last week. But then my last thing, I know I've let you guys know that I am back in school, and I'm finishing my last semester at LBCC. And last night, I officially accepted my admission with Chico State. So I am now a Wildcat.
Wow.
And that's it for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Yes. Okay. Oral communication. This is an opportunity for people to speak on items that are not on the agenda. You'll be limited to 2 minutes, and no action will be taken. And our librarian said he didn't think he was going to be here today. And I said, well, if you have something for me to read, I'll be happy to present it, but I'm sure he was busy, so. Okay, I see none. We will go to the consent calendar. And by the way, Alex, who was working in the library, has got a promotion, so he left us this week, and they'll be bringing somebody in until they find a full-time replacement.
Okay, consent calendar, item number 1, approval of the minutes from the February 3rd, 2026 regular city council meeting. Item 2, approve disbursements for January 26th through February 6th, 2026, totaling $1,202,214.92. Item 3, authorize city manager or his designee to procure temporary restroom facilities for the Cabrillo Mole Revitalization Phase 2 project for a not-to-exceed sum of $90,000 from the lowest responsive vendors. Item 4, authorize city manager or designee to procure, per the city's purchasing policy, 2 new Yamaha electric golf carts from Catalina Yamaha, located in Avalon, at a cost not to exceed $34,000. Sufficient funds exist in the vehicle replacement budget, account 13825-6781.
I'm glad that we were able to get a bid locally, and that will be the successful bid.
Yep.
Okay, council, what's your pleasure?
I'll move to approve items 1 through 4 on consent.
Just a question, since Yesenia and Annie weren't here.
Oh, we have to pull the
Yeah, we'd have
agenda
to pull that
separately?
separately, yeah.
Okay. So we have to do the approval of the
Minutes, they weren't here
minutes?
for the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so should we do then, we'll do I'll move to approve item 1 first, and that would be just myself, Michael, and Mary voting.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Lavelle, Councilmember Ponce, and who else was voting on?
Councilmember
item-
Schickling.
Councilmember Schickling? Okay, Councilmember Ponce,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle,
Yes.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Is that
I
it?
think
I
that
think
was
she said aye, yeah.
Yes.
3 ayes.
And then I'll make a motion to approve items 2 through 4. Just one question as well. I don't know how we can amortize this, but wondering if we should just be making sure to add a fee to the fee schedule for the rental of bathrooms after the fact, after the mole project is done, so that we can use them for other purposes. They're meant to be used and kept for after they're done with the mole project, right?
We have a couple earmarked locations for them anyway,
Okay.
a couple, but
Okay.
there will be some that will be available. So yeah, we'll make sure that we get that in. We'll-
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so items 2 through 4.
I'll second it.
Okay, Councilmember De La Rosa,
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce,
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle,
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
All ayes.
Item 5.
Item 5, under general business, is the fiscal year 26 mid-year financial results and proposed budget amendments. Matt Baker.
Good evening, council. As Jamie's going to pull up the presentation, the Cliff Note version is where we would expect to be based on the adopted budget. And the amendments that we're requesting tonight primarily relate to the MOU, as well as some smaller but successful grant and donation projects and opportunities that we've pursued during the first half of the year. So the slide here shows the beginning balance budget to actual for the year. You can see in the general fund, we started with we estimated we would start with 15.6 million. And you can see there are significant draws planned in the general fund this year. A lot of that is CIP projects, particularly we put a placeholder 2 million for the housing project. And so that's what's contributing to that significant draw. You can see we estimated we'd end the year at 17 or 10.79 million for the general fund. The next slide shows the actuals based on the audited financials. So you can see we really are starting where we thought we would be. Harbor, sewer, saltwater, solid waste, slightly higher. General funds about 60,000 lower than we thought where we would start, but more or less where we estimated when we presented the budgets where we started the fiscal year. So kind of moving into the general fund. Again, all these figures, unless I say otherwise, are based on activity as of December 31st. Generally, the first half of the year, from a revenue side, we collect more than 50% of our revenues. That's really just the seasonality of visitor-driven revenues in town, July, August, September being the most important months from a revenue perspective. Expenditures, labor tends to be above 50% at mid-year, and that's because we make our unfunded accrued liability payment as well as our workers' comp payment at the beginning of the year. But contracted services and maintenance tend to be below 50%, just given the timing of when payments are made for contracted services and with more maintenance activity kind of happening in the slower seasons. So the chart here breaks down the major revenue sources. You can see hotel TOTs, 57% of budgeted. Vacation rentals, even higher, 67%. Sales tax is below 50%, but there is a 2-month lag, so that really only reflects activity through October. And most of our property tax payments we receive in January and April, so that's why property tax is only 4% of where we had budgeted. But that's generally where it is this time of year. You can see below is a summary based on department. Fire department's more heavy in labor, and that's why you can see it's over 50%. But the other departments are generally under 50% at mid-year. This slide here, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I wanted to provide council and the public the last 2 years where we're at mid-year. So just to give you some confidence of when I say I think we're at where we'd expect to be, you can look at historically where we're at prior mid-years. And this year we're really right in line with kind of historically where we've been. The slide here is a breakdown of TOT for hotels. I provided updated revenue figures through last Friday, just so we could get the most up-to-date numbers. For hotels, we're about 60,000 below kind of where I thought we would be based on the budget. A lot of that was driven by July with the closure of one of the larger hotels. In the peak summer season, it's hard for the other hotels to kind of absorb that with higher occupancy rates, given most of the hotels are selling out July weekends. The next slide, though, is from vacation rentals, and you can see vacation rentals are 150,000 up from kind of where I had, where I developed the budget. Just something I'm going to look at next year when I come up with the figures. I was a little surprised at the difference, but it's surprised in a positive. So we're about 100,000 up where I thought we would be from a TOT standpoint for the first half of the year. Again, general fund operating expenditures. This is just broken down by salaries and benefits, maintenance and operations, and contract services. Again, on the labor side, they're generally above 50%, but a lot of that is driven by the unfunded liability payments and workers' comp payments. And generally, we're seeing maintenance and operations and contract services less than 50%. So from proposed amendments in the general fund, the table there is a breakdown of general fund labor costs and the requested amendments. These were really driven from the adopted MOUs. So as council recalls, in August and November, we presented MOUs to council for adoption. When we were building out the budget, we were still working with, we were still entering into those negotiations or just started those negotiations. So I did my best estimate where I thought we would end up, depending on kind of the salaries or benefits or Some of them were higher than where I had estimated or thought we would end up, but that's just kind of how the negotiation process works. Below that are and from a percentage standpoint, we're talking 2%. It varies depending on the department, but it's not a huge difference. I think on the whole it was 2.5 or 3% salaries and benefits different from where I had thought we would be. The projects there below is the fire department's been successful in obtaining several grants in the first half of the year. The fire grants and the VFA are for PPE, so new turnouts for the department. The local hazard mitigation plan, this was a grant-funded project from the prior year, but we didn't spend the full budgeted amount from last year. But because it's a maintenance account, I didn't encumber the funds in the budget, so that's really to correct for, to make sure that's in the budget for this year. Again, that's a grant-funded project, but I didn't have the expense side on the budget this year. We received some donations for the food bank that we wanted to capture because we do have increased spend on the food bank donation side. And then we did also include an ask for $10,000 for additional for maintenance of premises. We might be able to find that savings in other accounts, but I figured I would include it as an ask as part of the mid-year amendment. Again, moving to the Harbor Fund, it's really the same story as the general fund. Generally, revenues are above 50%, again, because of the seasonality of our visitor-driven revenues. You can see cruise ship is below, but that's largely due to the rate increase that didn't go into effect until January 1st. And so when I factored the revenue estimates for the budget purposes, I had estimated, I'd factored that into the revenue number. Just one to pull out or highlight in other revenues includes $150,000 for mooring transfer fees. We're already over that $150,000 midway through the year. Again, that's a really hard one for me to predict, so I always go real conservative on that. The nice thing is that we're hit that budget number, so it's just additional revenues that we weren't expecting if we see any additional transfer fees in the second half of the year. Again, this is a comparison to the last two fiscal years. I'm not going to go through each line, but we're really where we thought we would be, both from a budget standpoint and also from kind of a historical comparison standpoint. So for cross-channel wharfage, we're actually up more than where I thought we would be. And again, I think this is really driven from me trying to be conservative in the revenue estimate for cross-channel wharfage. But you can see we're up right now about $300,000 from where I thought we would be for wharfage. Kind of looking at it, I think a lot of that I was using the fiscal 24 actuals when I was developing the budget, so a $3.9 million, and then kind of building the rate increase off that number. But fiscal 25 last year ended up with $4.1 million in cross-channel wharfage. You know, it's definitely positive, but I'll look to kind of get a more accurate number in next year's budget. For cruise ship, you can see we're really more or less where we thought we would be. Occupancy rates in the summer were a bit higher, and that's why we saw some benefits in July and August from where we thought we would be. But more or less, it's in line with where we thought at this point in the year. Again, on the labor side, we generally are over 50% for the same reasons as for the general fund, but maintenance and operations and contract services tend to be less. And on the harbor side, there's a lot of maintenance costs in the harbor, but a lot of the heavy maintenance activity kind of occurs in this slower time of the year. Again, it's positive. It's kind of where we expect we'd be, but that's why some of those numbers look lower. We don't have any requested amendments in the harbor from an operating standpoint other than the MOU-driven amendments. So that's what's outlined in that table and in the staff report. And then for other major funds, it's a very similar story. Some of the individual jobs. When you get into the sewer, saltwater, solid waste, there's fewer headcount that goes into it. So if I'm off on any one particular job, it kind of shows up more than in some of the other accounts. So you can see on the labor side, we're a little higher in the 60% of budget. That's really, I was low on the estimates, kind of building out the budget. So that's going to be corrected in those MOU requested amendments. But you can see from a maintenance to operations side, it's well below 50%. In contract services, we're going to be around where we expected to be. But again, by December 31st, we typically would only have through November paid. And in some of the instances, it might just be October. So for sewer, saltwater, solid waste requested amendments other than MOU related amendment requests, we did have an amendment earlier in the year, and that was increasing solid waste for the cost of service study. That was an oversight. I hadn't included that in the solid waste budget. And then we also did have a settlement payment that was approved by council in August, and this is really just to formalize the budget amendment from that settlement. Internal service funds, again, not more or less where we thought we'd be. The one side is on contract services. We have some contracts in the general admin fund where we pay for the year at the beginning of the year. And so some of that's why it's higher. And then there are some contracts that we are keeping an eye on in case we do need to make an amendment that are slightly higher than we thought we'd be. But I think we'll have savings in some other accounts that will offset if we go slightly over. And so it's just something I'm keeping an eye on, but I don't think we need to request any amendments at this time. Other than for our general liability insurance, I did have an amendment request of $33,000. Our general liability contract is close to $1 million, and so I'm coming up with that estimate, with the best information we get from our insurance provider. But sometimes the costs, even if they're only a fraction of a percent higher than where they thought they'd be, just given the dollar amount of that insurance cost, a fraction of a percent can be $30,000. And so there is one amendment request for increasing our general liability insurance account. So then real quick into capital projects. I don't think there should be anything here that's a big surprise. The largest spend we have is related to the Five Corners project. We did have a big payment in January, and so I included that. So rather than everything as 12/31, the Five Corners number is, I think, through the end of January. But you can see we're about 55% of spend to date on that project. The other big project, Pebbly Beach Road revetment, we don't have any spend for the year, but that one's also largely grant funded. City Hall workforce housing, we've spent about $190,000 first half of the year. And then the last big one just to bring attention to is a fire replacement, vehicle replacement. We did purchase that new Wildland truck, but most of that is going to be coming back in reimbursement from Edison. We haven't received the reimbursement yet, but we're confident we will receive that in the second half of the year.
You hear that, Mary?
So again,
Yes, I did.
More or less where we expected to be. We do have some of those smaller projects we are looking to do in the current quarter, kind of in the slower season. And moving to the harbor, we've had less capital activity in the harbor, kind of compared to how much spend we had in the budget. The big spend you can see was the acquisition of the shoreboat float. Some of the projects that were included in the budget include the club dock, dinghy dock. We're still working with the state to try to make sure we have everything in line before we go further with that project. So that may end up getting pushed into the next fiscal year. Cabrillo Mole Phase 2, we do anticipate some significant spend, though, in this half of the year. But you can see the first half of the year it was relatively smaller spend. And lastly, in the other capital projects, again, you can see from a percentage of budget, it's relatively small. A lot of kind of engineering type spend. Again, sewer, we do expect to see some spend in the second half of the year, but as of December 31st, there wasn't a ton of sewer CIP spend. General admin, you do see that we're at 43,000 out of 50,000 budgeted. A lot of that one has to do with the timing of the purchase of file storage system. And so when I built out the budget, I thought we would have that spend before June 30th. We ultimately didn't encumber or spend the funds till August. And so we are requesting an amendment to the budget for this year. Again, I had planned that spend or shown that spend in the budget as likely occurring in fiscal 25. So when we're putting together the budget, we do have some period of time where I try to estimate where I think it's going to spend. It just didn't line up this time with that one. So we are requesting an amendment of 30,000. And so that way we can continue with the projects that were planned for this year in the general admin.
Just a question, what is street administration?
So that is our monies we get from the gas tax funds. And so we do have in the budget this year a fairly significant street paving CIP project.
Okay, that'll be the paving.
I'm not sure if we're going to, I'd have to follow up with Jackie
It'll
and
carry
Bob.
over, though, if we don't.
But if we don't do it this year, we'll carry over that project to next year.
And then one other question about the sewer. So a few slides back, you talked about the sewer, and it seemed like there was a lot of money in there. But with all of the trouble that we've had out there recently, I mean, that hasn't been paid. That's a big project, right, with this whole sewer thing?
There are a number of large projects that are going to need to happen with the sewer. I think with the incident, my understanding is they found a solution that is in the tens, if not low $100,000 fix range.
To date, right? So we have to make some upgrades, obviously, but the spend to date has not been.
So we're still good.
We're still good, but we are going to, and that's a good segue to upcoming meetings. We're planning on having a presentation at the first meeting in March to go over kind of the findings of the cost of service study. What you're going to see in that study, what's really going to be driving, any proposed rate increases to be discussed, is the needed capital spend at the wastewater treatment plant, but then also with the distribution system, so the plumbing, if you will. I'm sure that Bob's got a better term than that. So that really is a big driver in where we see in the next 5 years what the projects we need to get done to make sure we don't have, that we're getting ahead of problems, so we're not spending money responding to incidents, but we're spending money building a system that doesn't have those incidents, if you will.
Yeah, good, thank you.
And so that we will be discussing in March, and then again, potentially at the second meeting of May or the first meeting in June, where we'll be presenting a 5-year study for council to consider for adoption.
Excellent.
And then I do have on here a few projects with amendments that were already approved by council on the CIP. So the shoreboat float acquisition in October 7th meeting, council approved an amendment for that, as well as for the acquisition of a new command vehicle for the fire department. Again, that one is largely grant funded, and council approved the amendment in October. But just so we could get all the amendments on one document, I included that. And then the fire department's been successful in getting a few different grants for capital projects or capital funding, including the acquisition of some new equipment, Jaws of Life being one of them. The rec department was successful in getting a donation to upgrade a new technology center. And so we wanted to have that reflected in our CIP program. And then lastly, the file storage system that I mentioned previously. So again, we're really where we thought we'd be at mid-year, other than the MOU, which we knew was going to be a challenge, just having to come up with that without having gone through the full negotiation process. We do have a few amendments. A lot of them, though, are driven by grants and donations that we've been able to secure during the first half of the year. With that, are there any questions?
I already asked mine. Go ahead. Mary and Yesenia, do you have any questions of our finance director? Hearing any? Okay.
Thank
Counsel?
you.
Thank you, Matt. That was very good. Was he under the 15 minutes too?
He was there.
Dang, dude, you got it. Thank you.
So you need us to adopt a resolution, right?
Yes.
I'll move to adopt a resolution authorizing the proposed budget amendments as outlined in Exhibit A to this report.
I'll second
I'll
it.
Wait, there's two parts to the resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you need an amendment? Do you need us to do the?
Do we need to
for the
do the
receive and file?
Receive the report, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. So I'll modify my motion to also receive the report for the mid-year financial results for fiscal year 25-26.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
All ayes.
Number 2.
Okay, item 6, Cabrillo Mole Rehabilitation Phase 2, Pre-Construction Stage 0, Contract Award for Temporary Facility Site Preparation and Installation. Bob.
Good evening, Council. This item considers one of the 4 projects that are the scope of Stage 2, Phase 0 of the Cabrillo Mole Ferry Terminal Revitalization Project. Recall for the projects in Stage 0, Phase 2 include the wharf infill and the remainder of Phase 1, the concrete repair that we did in Phase 1, that it's already bid and awarded to Slater Waterproofing. It's scheduled to start construction this month. Then the second one was the electrical infrastructure and temporary facilities project bid together and is the subject of the agenda item tonight. This scope will install the underground utilities from the elbow to the mole. Additionally, it will prepare the area on the street and in the planters that are adjacent to floats 4 and 5 for the temporary facilities. We plan on getting this constructed right away so that most of the activity before Memorial Day, before we see the peak visitor season, that we get the construction done, and then we're within that confined area of construction so that we're not interfering with those peak visitor season activities. Then another project is the procurement of the temporary facilities to house the ticketing, the restrooms, deli, and the harbor support services during the construction of the Mole terminal building. And then the procurement of any long lead items such as the electrical equipment. That's another project that would cause delays in the opening of the Mole terminal because some of those long lead items can take up to a year, 16 months. So we'll order those right away as we bring this new team on so that we have those facilities and we can just seamlessly move through the design and construction of this facility. Okay, so the RFP for the rehabilitation of the temporary facility, the rehabilitation of the Mole Stage 0, the temporary facility portion that I alluded to, was solicited on January 28th via public purchase, our normal process. And then we did a mandatory, non-mandatory pre-bid meeting for interested contractors. One contractor showed up, and that was our local contractor, Jordahl Construction. The bid deadline was closed on February 12th at 3 p.m., and we received one bid, and the bid price was $1,658,470, and that exceeded the project budget significantly. So, under Public Contract Code 2167, It allows the legislative body to reject bids and adopt a 4/5 resolution. If satisfied, the project can be formed more economically by day labor, so our force account of our own forces, or the materials or supplies furnished at a lower price in the open market. So we can go with multiple contractors if needed, and seek that out so that we can economically get this delivered. City staff believe that by utilizing city forces and removing aspects, so rescoping some of the deck portions of the project and some of the electrical infrastructure, that we could reduce those costs. And then we can move directly into negotiating with those contractors and doing our day force labor. So city staff recommend that City Council rejects the bid received by Jordahl Construction and adopts the resolution by 4/5 vote, declaring there's no economic advantage to rebidding the project. Staff also recommends the City Council authorize the city manager to negotiate a revised project scope and enter a contract agreement with Jordahl Construction for not to exceed sum of $1.25 million. So you can see that we have shaved off, we're considering shaving off $425,000 in that range off that bid by using these measures. So that's the end of my presentation. Is there any questions that I can answer for you?
And so Jordahl Construction is okay with that?
In my discussions with the owner of Jordahl Construction, yes, they are okay, and they're at this point ready to negotiate.
Okay. So then we're going to be pulling our guys off of other projects?
Yes.
For what?
We're trying to limit the type of work that would be done on this, not to take on fully building this project, but there's elements within this project, like the clearing and grubbing, some of the traffic control measures, like the placing of the K-rails, some of the painting that would be on the deck. Those are things that we can move in and out, and they're not as time sensitive in that visitor season. We can be working in that work zone even after the visitor season, because once this is built, it's cordoned off, and then we can be doing those activities so that we're not impacting what our public works activities.
And it starts around March 9th, and then how long do we think that little part of it, not little, but how?
So we would anticipate by the time we get to Memorial Day that we would be through that underground utility work. So we're out there digging the road up, just like we did along Tremont here, right on the edge of the road, right next to the sidewalk toward the waterfront, extending from the elbow to the mole. And then in those plant areas, we'd be removing the plants and then putting the temporary deck infrastructure in there, preparing that for the area that would be queuing for those temporary facilities for that, say, 18 months that we're going to be needing those facilities.
I just have one more question, and then you go ahead, Lisa. And Jordahl's still going to be working on Five Corners?
Yes.
While all this happens? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
And they have the capacity to do this.
All righty, thank you.
Yeah, he's been hiring more folks on and bringing, it's good that most everybody he has that is very local. I mean, as we spend $1 on Jordahl Construction, that's going right back into our local economy. But he is bringing a few experts over, especially in concrete, that had done the school, that are also pouring our concrete out here. They're great concrete finishers. You've probably witnessed the work they're doing. And so it's great to have those people also on board.
The only question I had was just with regard to, similar to yours, but discussing the report we saw last time from Matt Baker from Finance, was the number of full-time equivalents that we're still under where we used to be, and wondering if we need to be looking at bringing an additional full-time equivalent throughout this project to be able to sustain having more work happening with this project and still be able to maintain what Public Works is doing.
Yeah, and Jackie Cordero reported out that she has interviews this week for the part-time ad, and by adding that, we hope to be able to just move our full-timers up to free up some time for them.
Okay.
And we've looked at a number of different projects, contracting out in order to free up some of their other time also.
Okay. Okay.
Council members, questions? Okay.
I'll make a motion to, pursuant to Public Contract Code Section 20167. 1, reject all bids received for the Cabrillo Mole Rehabilitation Phase 2, pre-construction Stage 0, temporary facility site preparation and utility installation project. Number 2, adopt a resolution by a 4/5 vote declaring the project can be performed more economically by day labor or materials or supplies furnished at a lower price on the open market. 3, authorize the city manager or his designee to negotiate and revise contract scope with Jordahl Construction Incorporated for the Cabrillo Mole Rehabilitation Phase 2, pre-construction Stage 0, temporary facility site preparation and utility installation project for a not-to-exceed sum of $1,250,000.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
All ayes.
Thank you, Bob.
One step closer.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of things happening on that.
Yeah.
The final item is City Warehouse Gate Project Phase 2 contract.
Okay, so this item authorizes the city manager to execute a change order for a not-to-exceed sum of $51,295 for additional work at the City Warehouse Gate Project for a total contract price of $126,045. Okay, so in this last fiscal year, we allocated $150,000 in our CIP budget to fund maintenance yard upgrades. And so one of the first things we wanted to do was that we had this, the yard gate, which is the main gate that works, by, electric driven motor. It was failing multiple times, and so the yard gate would be stalled in an open position. So that was the first thing that we wanted to take care of. In doing that, we had to also look at the entrance of the yard, and we needed to put some retaining walls in to be able to make the appropriate gate entrance. So this is kind of one of those things, once you get into it, it starts expanding out, so, and we wanted to make sure that once we put the gate in, that we wouldn't have to take it out once we needed to put these retaining walls in. So we started out, and under our procurement guidelines, we were able to issue a contract, negotiate a contract with Jordahl Construction, and we did for the initial work to get the yard gate opening and get the retaining wall. While we were doing that, right over the holidays, we had all the sewer problems, and we had a lot of people off too, so we had to use Jordahl for more of that work because it was supposed to be, again, one of those high-bid projects where we had Public Works doing the things they do well, we had Jordahl doing the things they did well, trying to keep costs in tow there. Well, so with that having to go right, most of our crew was at the wastewater treatment plant at that time. We need to have a little bit of additional work done to be able to get this gate in and to get the front entrance of the retaining wall work done. So that's what this change order seeks to do, is get some additional funds so we can complete that project and get the gate in within this next month. Any questions?
No, I did take a look at it about a month or so ago. I drove up there, and the guy was explaining it to me, and it was, anyway.
It will be a solid improvement for us, and just realize that every vehicle that gets fuel within the city goes through that gate to go through there. So when you're buying brand new vehicles or brand new fire trucks, they're going through what is not a very good opening, and we want to get all that repaired and bring it up to a municipal standard.
Municipal standard like that. Okay. Council, questions? If not, what's your pleasure?
I'll move to authorize the city manager to execute a change order for the not-to-exceed sum of $51,295 for additional work for the City Warehouse Gate project for a total contract price of $126,045.
Second?
I'll second.
I heard, is that Mary?
No, Yesenia.
Oh, Yesenia, okay. Call for the vote.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Ponce?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavelle?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
All ayes.
Okay, if there's no further business, meeting's adjourned.
Right.